Hello guys and welcome to Factorio 1.0. I'm Xterminator and thank you for joining me, and you probably see right on your screen right away, oh my god, it is here. We have some fantastic goodies. They actually did it. We have some fantastic stuff to go over here. I do want to just mention really quick, this is a very long video, but it's actually quite a short section on 1.0 changes. Most of this is actually on changes throughout the entirety of 0.18. I decided to cover those because, you know, maybe you stopped playing before 0.18 or you played and didn't really pay attention to the notes. And there were a lot of changes that happened during 18 that kind of just transitioned into 1.0. So I thought it was important to cover those. There will be timestamps or in the description or the like chapter things for YouTube. It may not be for a little while because I'm recording this. It's currently 3:15 a.m. for me when this launched, so I'm very tired. I may not get to it until the next day, but I wanted to get this video out for you guys. You know, if you don't want to watch, like physically watch the whole thing, you can, you know, leave it go on in the background while you play, leave it up on a second monitor while you go, and just kind of you know, audibly intake all the changes, because there are some really good ones. I do recommend you watch the whole thing. But let's get into this, guys. So here are the changes for 1.0. There are not many of them at all, but they are fantastic. We have the biggest. Spidertron has been added. I was hoping and praying they would do this, and they've done it. Spidertron has been added. I will go into everything you can do with this thing. It looks fantastic. And oh my god, it is better than I ever imagined. This thing is freaking awesome. So we have Spidertron. I will get into the details of that in just a second. The second change is Polluted Water. They mentioned this in a Friday Facts. It is added. As you can see, I have some steam engines going here. This water is getting quite polluted, as you can see. It doesn't really seem to show on the map view. I love the Spidertron icons. But you can tell this is a greenish color here. Opposed to if we take these are cheaty radars here with the like testing tools mod I use just to make testing a lot easier. These are not vanilla items. If we look at water over here, this actually shouldn't even need power. But if we look at water here, you can see it's obviously the blue that you're normally used to compared to the greenish this is turning due to all the pollution being generated here. So you now get polluted water. It doesn't affect anything, like you can still pump from it. It works fine. It appears to, at least. Pumping speed. These are slowing down perhaps. It never mentioned that it would make a difference. I don't think it does. This may just be due to pipes or pipe blockage or something. Maybe it makes a difference. They didn't mention that it does, so that would require some testing. And then also we have new Nuke animations, which I will show you, and also biter decoratives, like under their bases. You can see we now have, if we come over here, we now have this really kind of gross looking creep and stuff under here, which is really cool. I think adds a lot to the environment. And we'll show you that up close as well as the nukes. But let's get in Spidertron, which is what you guys are probably waiting for here. This thing is fantastic. So, you unlock it. It is a very late game item. It requires 2,500 of every single science pack in the game. This is an extremely late game vehicle. And it unlocks the Spidertron and the Spidertron remote. You see where this might be going. And it's also extremely expensive to make. It requires a fish, which I think is hilarious. Really, really good thing by the devs. Nice nod there. It requires rocket control units, 150 low-density structures, some efficiency 3 modules, rocket launchers, 4 of them, you'll see why, 2 portable fusion reactors, 4 exoskeletons, and 2 radars. This is a very expensive thing to create. However, it has a storage size of 80, it has an equipment grid, and it has change shooting speed 200% and 4 rocket launchers. On top of that, as you might have gathered, it can be remote controlled. So, if we look at this, first off, it has 3,000 health. You compare that to a tank here, which has 2,000. So this is even beefier than the tank, and it's a fair bit faster, I think, here too. So, also, there is no fuel. requirement here. There's nowhere to place fuel. It just goes. And it looks really cool. Let's just zoom in and take a look at these guys. Oh my god, like these just fit the graphics so great. Oh, I'm so excited. This is just amazing. I hate spiders, but I love the Spidertron. So, here's your trunk, 80 slots, but you also get your grid, which can take roboports, etc. Pretty much whatever you want. So it can actually build blueprints. So if we go ahead and take one of these, and maybe one of these, and another one of those, we go put this guy in there, him in there. Let's just throw in a battery for the heck of it, and let's take some of our robots, put those in there. Theoretically, this should work. It said it does. And then you have 4 rocket launchers, so you can fire multiple rockets. So we could like take these. These are very rapid firing from what the patch notes say. I've not tested this yet, played with it, because I wanted to have my first experience here with you guys. We have 2 options on the right here, though. We have without gunners, so this shoots nearby enemies automatically when the vehicle is empty, as in you're not riding in it, or you can check both. Shoot nearby enemies automatically when a gunner, driver, or passenger is in the vehicle. So just do both. You can change the color here, which is really neat, just like you can with trains and stuff. And that's how we have a red and a bluish purple guy. You can change them to whatever you want. And also, the remotes, if you'll notice, correspond to the colors of the things you link them to, which is also very nice. So, as you may have also noticed, we have remotes and multiple Spidertrons out at once. You can have multiple Spidertrons, they just have to be linked to different remotes. How do you link a Spidertron? Well, you place one of these guys down, which is the color of your player by default. Kind of blends in here. So let's recolor him first. Let's make him a green. Nice neon green there. That actually looks quite nice. And then you take a remote. We have an empty one here. Allows sending multiple movement. Allows sending simple movement commands to Spidertron from the map or the world. Must be first connected to a Spidertron by clicking with the remote. So you literally just take it in your hand here and you left click a Spidertron and it assigns it. You can tell by the color. And then it's very simple. You can left click, take this in your hand, and left click. And look at this dude go. It marks an error area here. I wonder if you can... I'm shift clicking. It looks like you cannot queue up commands to my knowledge. Yeah, shift clicking, control clicking doesn't work, but you can kind of just control him as you'd like here. And then you can do it from the map as well. So I can make him go over there if I want. Let's bring him back because he actually has no ammo. This guy here has the ammo though, so I am on peaceful mode. I'm not sure if that's going to affect how this guy operates. We can find out. And there we go. This is way better than artillery. Oh my goodness, guys. I think the majority of damage he took was actually just from walking into the rockets. Also, as you'll notice, this can just completely walk over objects. This can traverse cliffs. This can go over your factory. We should test if it can go over water. I'm a bit curious. And you can see I am just zoomed in on the map here. You can just click on the map as well. You can see this little red dot here. And let's just see this guy go to work here. Like this, you can see why this is so expensive. Look how fast these rockets are firing. Now you could do nukes. I feel as if you will blow yourself up though in the process. Obviously, if you are manually shooting the nukes, you will be able to avoid that by, you know, shooting them properly. However, I would imagine this maybe ends up blowing itself up. This is just so fascinating to watch. It's gonna keep doing it. But I am actually curious if we throw some nukes in here. I'm curious if we take this guy. And send him somewhere else. Like let's send him down here, for example. I am very curious if he's going to end up nuking himself. I will be very impressed if they've managed to program this for him to shoot the nuke at the correct range without blowing himself up. And this will demonstrate the new nuke explosion. As you can see, well, as you can see, we no longer have the Spidertron. So I would not suggest putting nukes in there when it's when you're controlling it just without you being in there. You obviously cannot manually shoot it remotely. It just does its thing. And there's the nukes, which I think look fantastic. But let's go hop in our green guy here and actually just drive him around a little bit to conclude this. Now, we did have this red one, which is over here. Let's bring him over here. Let's say he's in a little bit. He's just, you know, firing rockets away at the biters. But I would like to test if like blueprints can be built, or if he can deconstruct stuff, perhaps. Let's take him over here. Let's mark these trees. Of course, didn't give him any items, like a dum-dum, but theoretically, maybe the bots could go do the trees, and they can. So you can use this as a remote blueprint builder if you like. Or, I mean, obviously the bots work, so a blueprint would work if he has the items in the inventory. You can deconstruct trees. If I had cliff explosives, you'd be able to deconstruct cliffs. Yeah, I mean, you can see here, he can just do all that. Also, it has a built-in radar. I forgot to mention in there. So, which is really nice because that allows you to kind of control him within a close distance around it. You know, when you don't have radar coverage, because it has a radar in it. So that's very nice. Also, I imagine if I had put repair packs in here, the robots would probably repair it. So you could probably almost just have this go infinitely, clearing biters with the robots repairing it if you put enough packs in there. Oh, he's like, no, no. Oh my God, this is so cool. Look how he stepped over that. Can we do this again? Come on, bud. Oh, dude, this is so perfect. So this can, to a degree, cross water. I love how it just stepped, like, on the pump. And it just, I mean, it traverses your factory. You can literally just walk over everything, except, obviously, huge bodies of water. But you can do that. Now, if we put a nuke in here ourselves, you know, actually, I probably want to turn off just that. Well, I can leave that on. I don't want to do that, though, because he will fire on himself. I've launched a rocket. That is a new nuke animation, which looks fantastic, by the way. And then, you know, of course, I can shoot this myself. Let's take these out. Put these in here. And I can just go to town. Like, this is almost more fun than controlling it remotely. I've run out of rockets and some of my stuff, but you can see I am very beefy. It has an equipment grid, so you could put shields and stuff in here if you want. Obviously, we don't have like behemoth biters or anything at this point, but you obviously do want to be careful about rocketing yourself too much, because it can be easy to do that. And yeah, this thing is just so cool. I am a huge fan. Like, look how this guy stretches over stuff. The animations are fantastic. And I believe that's it, guys. That's, I showed you the nuke, I showed you the polluted water, Spidertron, and the animated biter decoratives, and that's the additions. But this one here accounts for pretty much everything else added throughout. But again, I do recommend you check out the 0.18, which is coming up here in just a minute in the rest of this video. And yeah, guys, I do mention it at the end of the 0.18 part, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being with me and throughout my channel this whole time. If you're new, welcome, and I hope you enjoy 1.0, and stick around, subscribe if you're not subscribed, because there will be a lot of new content for Factorio coming out on my channel. And, you know, if you're a new player, I will be releasing tutorials and instructional Let's Plays and stuff like that. All kinds of stuff coming out. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much. If you did enjoy, leave a like as well, and you know, stick around for the 0.18 version. Leave it up in the background if you want, as we walk off into the sunset here in our Spidertron. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you're excited, and I will see you in the 0.18 section and in next video. Alrighty, now on to 0.18 updates, guys. So this is going to be quite a long list. In fact, there were even more besides what I'm going to cover here, but I just went through all the sub versions of 0.18. There were 47 sub versions, and I got all the main ones I could find. There may be some in there I missed. I just, you know, I was reading through so many, I may have missed one or two. If I did, I apologize, but I did try to get the main ones. So we're starting in the menu here. We're going to go by section, basically. We're going to go by different topics, starting with general changes. and then we're going to move on to graphics, and then we're going to move on to sounds, and then, there's some optimizations we'll just cover. And one last note before we get started here is there are some things I just won't really be able to show you visually, but I will just list them, verbally list them. And also the notes, all my notes for this, I will put on Pastebin or something, or maybe Google Docs, and link it in the description so you guys can read through all that. But if I say it and don't show it, it's just because it's not really showable, and there are some like that. Anyway, let's get started. So first off, this is all the stuff through 0.18, and we'll start here. Added the continue option to quickly load the latest save game. As you can see here, I was just in this world working on stuff to show you, and we now have a continue option. Previously, you would have to go into single player, load game, etc., go through it, but now you just hit continue and you'll hop right in, which we'll do here in a second. The second thing is they added a new game GUI that shows all the ways to play. So when you go into single player, new game, instead of like there used to be a different menu that was kind of convoluted, we now have just a list of every single way you can play, and they're categorized as well for main game, tutorial, free play, all the scenarios here, mod scenarios, user scenarios. These are just custom scenarios I have downloaded in my folders, so those will show up there. Actually, while we're in here, really quickly, they did add a new Rocket Rush game scenarios. This is a new scenario altogether, and it kind of says here what it is. You start with all text unlocked, choose your starting items carefully, and try to launch a rocket as fast as possible. Play single player or multiplayer. And just to show you here, if you go into multiplayer, you can just host a new game, and it gives basically the same thing, except obviously only things that can really be done in multiplayer. So there you go. That's that. It's really cool, and some really nice things there. Also in settings, I can show you this in game, but there are a few things like they added a brightness, contrast, and saturation slider, which is really, really nice. This is actually quite new, I believe, in 0.18. So these you can just adjust how you wish. I left them on default, but whatever your preference is, or whatever, you can adjust those. And I do want to just, again, really quickly mention that I'm covering 0.18 stuff because, maybe a lot of you guys took a break after 0.17 waiting for 1.0 and, just haven't really played 0.18, or maybe you've played 0.18 and just kind of let the game auto-update and didn't really, look at the changelog. But there's been a lot actually changed throughout 0.18, and also because of how they're doing this, where 0.18 actually kind of just transitions into 1.0, where 1.0 itself won't really have that many changes. Not like a ton of changes like the normal big updates. I think it's appropriate to show off all the 0.18 stuff. So let's just hop into the game I have set up here. And there's stuff scattered all around for different things I want to show you. So probably one of the biggest things in 0.18 very recently, just a couple weeks ago, just a little bit before 1.0 released, is all these blueprint changes. And that's what I'm going to show you first, because these are fantastic, guys. There is so many more new blueprint tools and blueprint functions and usability upgrades. It is just absolutely fantastic. So first off, we have the blueprint library. It's a new look. They've matched pretty much all the Windows GUIs, GUIs, however you want to say it. Throughout the game, they used to be kind of mismatched a little bit. Now they're kind of all matching up and really, really nice and coherent. You'll see it a bit more as I show off other things throughout this. So there's a lot to cover here. I tried to write it in order the best I could, but we may have to jump back and forth a little bit. So first off, we have the blueprint library here, pretty straightforward. Most of you guys know how this works. Game blueprints over here. And here we go. So first off, let's just start with some of the biggest stuff here. I think the biggest one actually is blueprints can now be built from the map view. Okay, so previously you would have to zoom in and you could build them in this view in here, right? You could do this. You could build them through here like that. However, now you can actually build them in this map view. If we take this, you can see it now shows up. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And, it's redlining over things that normally can't place over. But just like placing a blueprint in the actual normal game view, if you just hold shift, it will you know, kind of mark anything for deconstruction in place wherever you want, aside from water, of course, unless you have landfill blueprinted. So you can go ahead and we can just place these, and look how nicely this goes. There is a little bit of a delay there, fairly decent sized blueprints here, and you can literally do any functionality you want. If we take this, perhaps maybe line that up like that, you can. So this is mostly useful for rails and also for very large builds. Here's a gigantic, just to come out of map view and show you. This is a huge build, which it does fit on my screen, but it's, you know, if you're trying to align it to other stuff on the side, you can't really go much far. I can't zoom out farther than this. However, I could come over here up to these rails, and let's say I want it like right here. Again, hold shift. I can just place this in the map view wherever I want. And again, it does take a minute. It's a very large blueprint. Got to mark stuff for decon. And as you can see, it's just marking everything. These are all placed just as if I had placed them, you know, in the real world. And that is super nice. Now, on top of that, you can actually do some other things. A few new things added was the grid, ability to snap to grid, and absolute reference points. So dimensions of the building repetition pattern when building by dragging. This will make a little more sense when I show it to you in another form, but you can turn that on, and then you can change the grid size, but you won't really visually see that in here until you do absolute reference point, which allows the blueprint to snap to the global grid. The reference point shifts the blueprint relative to the grid. Shift plus left click to change the reference point to preview. So you can see here we now have this box drawn around it, and this is just the default. It's drawing it around it as it should. However, you know, if you for some reason want this to be different, you could change these numbers. As you can see, it's changing it here. And then also you can hold shift, and I'm dragging it. I'm holding shift and left click, and I can drag it wherever I want. But let's just turn that off. And I think this was 82, I want to say. Maybe 88. That seems about right. And there we go. So that's now this. And now, when we go to save this, it's going to make it so that when we place this, you can see it's snapping. It's snapping to the game world grid. So if I do this, obviously I didn't make my rails long enough for this to connect, but let's just hypothetically say I'd done it. I'm holding shift, and as soon as I drag right, it's just snapping to this position. So perhaps a straight one would be a better example. Well, I didn't change that one, but you can see. So this guy just snaps to, you know, the grid, which that is not aligned to. As you can see, it's misaligning, but this guy will just snap to a grid. You can imagine how this would work for straight rails. And I can't actually show you that because another blueprint feature I want to show you, I know there's a lot, guys, there's a lot, is if we go in and we take the straight rail, and I go into edit it, right click, and I want to do the same thing as I was trying to do. However, what if I want to keep a version that doesn't have this? Instead of going in and changing it back and forth, another brand new feature for blueprints they've added is the ability to create a copy of it. So instead of having to save this how I want it, and then if I want to turn this off, go back in, uncheck it, save it again, I can now just create a copy. And I can stick it, let's just stick it here, and then let's drag it over. It won't let me move it. That's fine. Actually, maybe we just want it at the end anyway. So if we take this, this looks like a snapping version potentially. So do that, and now it is snapping. So I can literally just drag. I am just dragging my mouse, and look how easily we did that. It does seem to skip a little bit here when I go too fast, but there we go. Look how easy it is to place this massive stretch of rail now. And the great thing about this is it didn't change our other version. As you can see, that screws it up because that one's not snapping. But we now have one of each. Instead of having to like make two separate blueprints with all the rigmarole, we can now just copy it, and we get the version we want, which is super nice. Obviously did not build over the biters. So there we go. Just looking through my notes here, I covered the snapping. They can have map snapping. Another thing is everything can now have custom icons. You can see down here I have custom icons for the belts. I have custom icons for the decon planners. And there's a few more things I want to cover in regards to those. Another huge thing with blueprints, if we come over here, another big thing with blueprints is you can now easily change the contents of them without a lot of hassle. It's called the reassign tool. Okay, so if we go to make a blueprint, let's make a blueprint of this. Okay, we've created our blueprint. It's lasers. You can also, quick thing to note here is you can now, you can change it. You could always change the name, but there is a description. So let's just say lasers and go pew pew. You can now add description. Same with the grid thing. You can snap, which I will actually do. I'm not going to do the reference point, and I'll show you in a second what this does. Very helpful, especially for placing things like turrets. And we create the blueprint. Now, really quickly, previously, or really, if you don't have that grid checked, if I were to just click and drag and run, it would just totally screw up the power poles. If you've ever tried to do that with blueprints, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. But now, with the grid, and it's showing the grid, it is placing them perfectly, exactly how I want. And just to show you how it would work without that, it's awful. So if we do this, as you can see, this is not something we would want. So that is really, really nice for this. So let's just get rid of that. Okay. But if we want to change the contents of this, instead of having to, go in and like take stuff out, read blueprint, save, etc., we now have this select new contents for blueprint. So what this does is this keeps the name, keeps the description, keeps the icons, but just changes whatever you read blueprint to be what's actually in here. So I have one here. Let's say we wanted lights, maybe a couple more lasers and a substation. If I take this and re-blueprint this, it's kept the name, it's kept the icon, it's kept the description here, and it's now added everything we want. So we can now, of course, add what we want. We can add some of that, and let's just add that for the heck of it. And there we go. So that is a really, really easy, nice way to just quickly update your blueprints if you want to do so. And to keep this one, of course. So we have that. Okay, so there's all that. Another huge thing, guys, and this is something that's been requested for a long time, is blueprintception. We have blueprint books within blueprint books, okay? This is something that, I can't imagine. This must have been really hard for them to do. But you can now have blueprint books within blueprint books within blueprint books up to a maximum depth of 6. And they've limited that mostly for game performance reasons, and things would just get really messy at that point. But let me show you. So we have a belts book here. Okay, well, this looks like a normal book. However, if we go into it, you can see I'm in belts. Okay, so we have the book, and then we have belts. I've named it yellow belt. Really would just be generally belts, I suppose, or yellow belt. It does contain yellow belts. So if we go into this blueprint book, which is yellow belt, we have the two blueprints. They're just very simple belts I've created, for example. But then within this book, we have red belt. Okay, well, let's right-click and open that. Okay, well, we have red belts. And within this red belt book, we have a blue belt book. And this is as far as I've gone for this example, but again, you can stack up to 6. And why is this useful? Well, it stops you from having to have, at least in this case, 3, perhaps more books for every different belt color. You can now have them all in one book, and you can access them how I did, or you can scroll through. Shift and shift up, mouse wheel up. We'll scroll through. So as you can see, so here what we're doing. We have yellow belt. We have yellow belt here. We have, that looks like blue belt, actually. I think I may have rearranged it wrong. But you can see we're scrolling through every single book. So every single book we're scrolling through. And it's changing, of course, the names and stuff too. So here we go. We have yellow 1. I think I need to actually scroll backwards on the mouse wheel. So we have yellow 1, yellow 2, red 1, red 2, blue 1, blue 2. Okay, so I was going the wrong direction. Scroll backwards on the mouse wheel in this case. And we're scrolling through not only the blueprints in the blueprint book, but then the blueprint books within the books that have those blueprints. I know it gets confusing, but basically it's just the order in which you have them. So I was scrolling backwards on my mouse wheel, like towards me, and we went yellow 1, yellow 2, then this one. Obviously, if you had more blueprints in here and then the book, you would go through all those blueprints. And then the book, if I had rearranged these, scrolling up would have done what I wanted it to do. And there you go. So we can now have up to 6 depths of blueprint books within books, which is massive. This is so cool. Also, you can now put decon planners and upgrade planners inside a blueprint books. So we have those. In fact, let's just move this a tile over and let's just do that. So now we have yellow 1, yellow 2. This is a decon planner, which I filtered. That's why it doesn't work. And then we have upgrade, which again, I have blue here, but if I had yellow, I would then be able to upgrade. So, or upgrade and then decon. And it can shows you which one you left off on here. And that's really nice. Now, you know, this one, again, I've filtered it to only decon rails. Maybe I just wanted to decon rails and not trees and stuff for some reason. Like I said, I can add these icons in here now, which is really nice, and the belts. Super nice. So I covered the copy function, the description. You know, having a description is really nice. Also, you can have, if we go into Blueprint Library here, you can have a list view, which I actually prefer. I really prefer the list view. You can do the same. This is grid view or list view. I mean, either way works. I do prefer list view in almost every case here. I think it's just a lot easier to read and keep track of. I'm just browsing through my notes here again. They're, like I said, they're very long. It's easy to get lost. Custom icons we covered, the map snapping, the map placing, which is really the biggest thing. We covered all that. I have copy function. All the blueprint tools can be used from the library. You know, so we could put these in here and such, and then you can use them. Hit B, and you can use these from the library if you want. Again, we have no rails here, but you can do that. Wouldn't necessarily have to drag them into your inventory. And I believe that covers it for all the blueprint, all the main blueprint stuff. There were little tweaks, like I said, I did not cover every single thing. This would be like 10 pages long if I did. So there's all the blueprint stuff, guys. That was a big thing. I know that was a lot to go through. It may have been confusing. You can maybe look at my notes or rewatch this, for example. There's a lot to go through. Okay, moving on now. There's the new Character GUI or GUI, which, as you can see, quite a bit different look than what we had before 0.18. Along with this, I will cover them more in graphics, but you will see most icons are updated. All the little infinity symbols is because I'm in cheat mode, just so I can set this up easier, but if we turn that off, it should be a bit easier to see all the icons here. And then the main thing here is the character. So everything to do with your armor, your weapons, your color, all that stuff is now in its own tab, which is really cool. So you can access your weapons and stuff here. You can mess around with this, take these in, put them out. I mean, you can do it through here too, but you can do it here. Armor, you can open the equipment grid through here, which is really nice. This shows you some info about your armor. Personal roboports you can turn on and off. That's a big thing here. You can turn personal roboports on and off, turn your exoskeletons on and off. That's actually been in for a while. And then we have another tab for logistics. Also, you may notice another fantastic feature is you can now turn on and off your personal logistic requests and auto trash slots. So like when you die, you know, previously robots would come refill your inventory with all your requests, even though you were just going to go pick up that stuff you had on your body. Now, when you die, this is automatically turned off for that specific reason. Do make sure, of course, to turn it back on once you get your stuff. Otherwise, you'll never have your request filled. But we now have these separate windows for each thing. Another cool thing is in terms of quick inventory transfers, so like shift clicking or control clicking in your inventory, the game now recognizes what window you're in and will put the appropriate thing where it needs to go based on the window you're in, regardless of the item. So for example here, let's take some of this ammo out. This is now half full. If I just control click my entire inventory, a blank spot here, it only puts red ammo, because this is the only thing in here that can actually go in one of these slots right now. And it will just put it in here. Now, of course, it says it can't insert more because it's full. Can't put artillery shells anywhere. I do have artillery shells in here. But that's really nice. Same character's not really relevant. But logistics is, you know, you can now, obviously, this will just, if I control click, it will trash everything. But the same thing would hold true here. If I do rails, I mean, obviously that does that. But Yeah, so it's just really nice. It kind of just specifies, knows what you're trying to put where based on the window you're in, which is really nice. Like, for example, now if I do this, it's trashing everything in my inventory instead of putting ammo in here, which obviously I don't want, but it does differentiate. Okay, so there's that. Now, another thing, personal logistics. So personal logistics meaning your trash slots and your personal request slots. These are all unlocked with one research. Now, I've unlocked all research with a command to make this demonstration, the whole video, easier. But personal logistics is unlocked with just one research. This would not be it. Perhaps we can search personal roboport. I think, how am I not finding this? Personal roboport, construction bots. I'm not entirely sure. Personal logistics is, so it unlocks everything. It unlocks all your requester slots. It unlocks all your trash slots. Previously, you would have to, you would unlock your personal logistics, and then there would be a research for trash slots, and then another one for upgraded amount of trash slots, another one for more logistic request slots, so on and so forth. Now there's just one research, which I'm unable to find. I mean, that makes sense, the name, right? I'm looking for it here. Oh, well, here we go. It's within here, so I thought it would be called personal logistics. So you have your character logistics slots, auto trash, and logistic trash slots. All this is within one research, where you get your robots and stuff. And with that, you get 30 trash slots. You get your auto trash slots. And then within this, you have unlimited. Now you have unlimited amount of request slots. So I can literally just, I can do, maybe you're playing with some crazy mods. You can just request as much as you want. Also, something that may trip you up a little bit, it got me. Your auto trash is now set into here. It's kind of interesting. If we say wood, for example, basically you just want to set this to 0 and it becomes an auto trash. So you set both those sliders to show you again. This is a dragging slider here. You can type as well. Just drag them all the way down, all the way left, 0, 0, and that's how you create a trash slot. Little bit unintuitive, at least in my opinion, when I first started. Maybe it's just because I have used it differently for years and years, but that's how you do that. And then when you do go to request something, you select what it is, and then, so this is the requested amount, and then this is like a maximum amount, so items over this will automatically be moved into trash, which is super nice. So you can say, I always want at least 200 green circuits, but I don't want more than 500. Anything over 500, maybe you're like, hoovering up belts and you accidentally pick some up. You don't want to end up with an inventory full. Anything over 500 will automatically be trashed. So there's that. Really cool, really nice with that. Also, within that menu, just to show you one more time, if we go into here, make a change, you can now hit enter to confirm that instead of hitting the little checkbox. Enter now works as a confirmation. And we covered all that. So construction bots now throw cliff explosives like a player does, rather than going and dropping them off basically at the cliff. So there's a few small cliffs up here. There are, correct? This is not a cliff. Oh, that's okay. There are definitely cliffs over here though. So previously, when you would mark cliffs for construction, robots would go and just like drop the explosives off at the cliff. But now they basically throw them just as if a player threw them. So if we go here and mark this, my personal bots will go, and you can see a lot. Okay, so these guys, watch these guys, boom, boom, boom. They're throwing them from about here, which is pretty nice. I think mostly just like a little visual change, but it's still really nice. I think, maybe saves a little bit of time instead of them having to fly all the way over there. You can also, one thing in blueprints, you can choose if you include fuel in a train when you blueprint a train, which is pretty neat. So if we blueprint this, you can check train fuel, also check if you want the train, which obviously you would if you want train fuel. So there's that. There's that option right there. Then we go. Some of this stuff I'm going to say now, I can't really show you, but I mean, I can, but doesn't really need to be shown. Overriding a save file will show a confirmation if the selected save has more playtime on it than what you're about to save. So, for example, if we go in here and we load, well, pretty much anything except this. We find a recent one here. A lot of these are very old. That one, I think, has more playtime. Just try to find a lot. Okay, so here, this one. Oh, I'm loading it, not saving it. I'm really stupid. It's late, guys. Okay, here we go. We're back. So now if I go to save, sorry, this is what we wanted. Go to save, and we go into Factorio. You can see here, warning, you selected, the save you selected has 30 hours of playtime. So that's basically just making it harder for you to overwrite saves. This is an accident a lot of people probably made, and it's a very bad one. So that will hopefully catch your attention and stop you from doing that. The offshore pump is now buildable on ground tile adjacent to water instead of water tile adjacent to ground. This is not something I can really show you. It's more of a, like, just quality of life thing that just makes it, like, just place a little better and look a little better. Just threw it in there because it's a nice thing. Makes playing smoother. Machines will now refund item ingredients when crafting is canceled before finishing. That one I don't think really needs an example. Basically, if you have a machine crafting something and it's canceled, like you reset the recipe, it will refund you the ingredients if you cancel it before it finishes that particular recipe cycle. Okay, now this one is pretty cool. They added a flush fluids button to the pipe, underground pipe, and storage tank. So I have a little infinity pipe here. This is this is from the testing tools mod, which I'm using purely to make things easier for testing. None of this in here, none of this purple stuff is vanilla. So we can now go in here, and this only works if there's fluid in here. If we have an empty one, there's no button. But a full one, you can now hit this trash can to flush crude oil from the entire fluid system, which in this case is, well, it's being fed still. In this case, it's just the underground pipe because I disconnected it, but if we do it on here, storage tank or fluid system content. So this is really cool. It's separate. Maybe I just want to flush the storage tank, and like most everything from here flowed into here, and we do that. The second one to clear the entire system. This is very nice. This was added pretty much for when you accidentally mix fluids. This is a very easier way to flush them out of your entire system instead of having to like pick everything up like you used to. Is a huge pain. You can now do this, which is super cool. Also, increase logistics filter count for requests from buffer chests from 12 to 30. As you can see here, logistic requests, you can now request 30 things within a buffer or logistics chest, up from 12, which is super nice. Roboports allow exporting logistics and robot stats at the same time. Previously, it was one or the other. But when you go in here and connect this to pretty much just a circuit network here, you can actually export both at the same time, which is very nice. Now we are some changes here. Slowdown capsule, slowdown factor. So the effective, like basically the amount it slows down, increased from 50 to 75%. Again, kind of hard to show you, like, because I'm only a 0.18, I can't really show you the after or the before very well, but basically it slows down more, which is really nice. Players can now walk between two steam engines or turbines. This is absolutely fantastic. So before this change, I would not be able to walk between these two engines or these two boilers, and now I can easily. Of course, you cannot walk over pipes still, but you can now walk between these without much effort. You have to line it up maybe a little bit, but just kind of if you bump into it, just run to the side until you get in there. And same works, of course, for nuclear turbines. Some other changes that, again, I can't really show you here. The wave defense difficulty will scale with the online player count, which is pretty nice. That's like actually very nice. That makes it a bit more balanced. Wave defense hard difficulty gives 50% less bounty on each kill. These are scenarios. The wave defense is a scenario. Felt it was worth mentioning. The new Rocket Rush scenario we already covered. We're almost out of general changes here, guys. We're getting near the end. Improvements to Team Production Challenge. I don't know exactly what that includes. Like, that was literally the patch note, so I'm not sure exactly what that includes, but it's improvements. Change wave defense bounty system and refactored unit spawning logic, just to make it, you know, act a bit better, smoother, more balanced. They added 3 levels of first steps tutorial campaign. They added new tutorial campaigns level 4 and 5. They updated mini tutorials, which is nice. Added support to and this one here, this is something that a lot of people won't do, especially if you're newer to the game and you're watching this. This one's probably not relevant to you right now, or may not even make sense. If you're like, if you know computers and stuff like that, it probably does. But adding support to manually set several paths through the config.ini file. This is within your Factorio folder. Basically path files of saves, scenarios, mods, achieve, and script output. So this is really nice. My understanding is basically this would let you have like multiple mod sets within the same thing, and have like within the same folder, and have different paths to them, which is pretty nice. So that's cool. They removed the introduction campaign, and they removed the some multiple campaign only prototypes, which mostly affects like just kind of behind the scenes stuff in regards to mods and stuff. May not be able to access them, some mods. So there we go, guys. That is all the general stuff. Onto graphics. Again, I do want to apologize any mistakes I made. It's very tired. I'm very tired right now, but graphics. So animated water. Let's go stand by this water. It's a little hard to see sometimes, but especially on video. I'm going to zoom all the way in. There we go. You can can you see this swaying back and forth maybe a little bit? Looks like it's moving here. Also a fish in here. But that's really nice, kind of just a background thing. Along with it, they added animated trees. You can kind of see they're moving around here. If we go over to a larger forest over here on the left, it'll be much more noticeable. Just go stand over here. Kind of looks like the forest, kind of just looks like a little wind, animated, which is really nice. I think, it's just one of those little things that just makes it really nice to play. Just the immersion is really there. It's really, really nice. So new water splash effects. So this is for things like grenades. When you actually, this grenade would be far better. As you can see, some cool splash effects, which looks pretty nice, actually pretty realistic if I do say so myself. Kind of splashing up on the... Actually, I think it stayed there. Oh yeah, look at this. It stays there for a minute. So that even, you can see it bounce up on the land, it'll stay there. That's really, really neat. Okay, so now on to icons. I'm not going to go over every icon, but as I mentioned, let's turn the cheat mode off again. I guess, okay, there we go. I just switched tabs. So tons of new icons in here. Pretty much everything. Most things got updated icons or high-res icons. Just kind of show you a lot of the military stuff did. Like these are now the new battery icons, the Energy Shield Mark II, exoskeleton. This is the belt immunity equipment. Pretty cool. Roboport Mark II, Roboport, gates, walls, grenades. Obviously, you saw there look quite different. I really like these. They remind me of those water balloon grenades I used to play with as a kid. The capsules, along with the capsules, we now have new effects for the poison capsule and the slowdown capsule. So, poison capsule is blue. The color I'm not really sold on. I think slowdown should be blue and poison should be something else, maybe yellow. In fact, I feel like the colors are almost reversed. But here we go. So this is the new poison capsule. Looks pretty... I mean, the visual effect itself, I think, is really nice. The color, I'm not completely sold on, but the effect is very nice. Also, the slowdown capsule. So this is actually pretty hilarious. I love this. This actually just looks fantastic. I wish it stayed a little longer. Maybe they can't do that for game performance reasons. And different sounds kind of here. So this looks pretty neat. I will show you some stuff with combat here shortly. Also, if we go up top here, we have a high resolution power switch. right here. Really nice. Also, brand new beacon graphics. These were added a little while ago in 0.18. Also, I've put some modules in them to show you. The modules now show here, and of course it does differentiate which module you've put in. This is super nice, super cool. The beacon is very different than it used to be, but hopefully we can get used to it there. Also, new mining drill graphics. There's kind of been multiple iterations of this. They had, just new ones like a couple weeks ago, and then they literally just redid them again like this week. So we can see here. It's really cool. They like drill for a bit, lift up, drill. I think this is much better than the kind of like weird plowing, tilling, massaging thing that the old miners like before 0.18 at all, the animation they had and the look they had. This is way better, really cool. I'm a huge fan of this. So there's that. Covered that. New beacons, high resolution power switch. They updated a lot of tech icons, so some noticeable ones are probably things like the belt logistics. This is new icon here. Of course, that applies to all the belts. They didn't update every single one. The beacon, of course, now matches the beacon graphic. Stuff like that. Just the icons look a lot more coherent now in the tech tree. Batteries correspond with their actual graphic. Also, if we go into the power armor, this is a I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of this. This is a very clean layout here of your grid. I did kind of mention that earlier that I would touch on. I just really like this. This just looks so nice, so clean. I kind of like the transparency here. Just very visually appealing to me. Also, new remnants for assemblers and landmines. So if we come on over here to where I have these set up, and we go ahead and destroy these. So there we go. That's the remnants, and there's the remnants of these. And yeah, just little things, but looks pretty cool if you ask me. We already covered the blueprint grid visualization. I showed you how it just shows the grid. Oh, this is really neat. So I have some desert I've placed over here because it's a lot easier to see. They've added player footsteps and footprints. So I'm trying to zoom in. You see these little footsteps here? And the dust? It's much easier to see on this really light desert here. See these footsteps? Very cool, I think. Like I said, a lot more difficult to see here with all the doodads and grass and stuff. But you can see stuff kind of kicking up when I run, which is pretty neat. And also they did the same thing with cars and tanks. So drive through here. You can see very visual, demonstration of the dust and stuff, which is pretty neat, I think. Doesn't seem to really be leaving tracks, but the dust itself is a very nice effect, I think. And then same with the car. As the tank goes rolling away on us. Also, the production statistics in electric network GUI have a new look. This is something that was added, I think, fairly early on 0.18. So if you've played that, you've probably seen this. I'm producing some iron. This is just the general look of it. Very nice. You can now search in here, which is cool. And then the electric network info also, obviously it's steady right now. But this is kind of the general look at it. Looks very nice, it's very visually appealing and clean. Also the kills, there used to be a kills GUI, which you could access with K, but it's now actually in the production menu in its own tab over here. So there's that. Some new explosions. I showed you some explosions. New environmental trigger effects for grenades, artillery, and nuke. So the artillery, I'll show you here. Let's just turn our cheat mode back on, and there we go. Get our little targeter here, and get one of these, and so you can see it, especially when it hit that tree, it had a pretty cool effect. So if I do this again, you can see stuff kind of just flew everywhere. Pretty cool, just like a nice little thing. It's noticeable, you know, as well with grenades and stuff like that. Just little visual effects that's really nice. Added tinted scorch marks, which you can see here. Explosions on different tile types result in different color scorch marks. So, you know, if I take some more grenades, throw them down here, scorch marks are, you know, more matching of the color. Offshore pump graphics, which you saw when I placed down the offshore pumps. Oh yeah, they improved map colors. So there's now specific colors for beacons, pipes, heat pipes, roboports, and steam engines. I have most of those. You can see, you know, kind of a different thing here. Just the different colors here. These lasers, the beacons are now a darker blue here. The roboport's kind of this tannish color. The tank is this color. So when you have a whole base, it kind of just differentiates and makes things easier to find and just very nice to look at. And added new dying effects for enemies, as well as a bunch of new sounds. I'll show you the enemies here in a second because I'll show you the sounds at the same time. So sounds for GUI interactions, which you've probably heard. Factory entities, you know, which you'll just hear in your factory as stuff runs. You kind of heard it by the miners. Mining, chopping by hand, I'll show you here. Let's just do this. So just kind of a nice chopping sound, I suppose. Definitely sounds a lot more like you're actually hitting wood and trees. Let's go do the mining. And then they also added new sounds for the rocket sequence, I believe. Rocket takeoff sequence. So there's the mining sound. Go ahead and launch this real quick. We've apparently put... Did I put a bunch of cars in there? Is that what I saw? So very cool. This is very, very nice. I'm a huge fan of that. It sounds, you know, like a huge rocket jet engine, you know, just very cool. Footsteps. Which you can hear, kind of hear some sand kicking up. It changes a little bit when you go into different terrains. Trains themselves here. It's a little thing, you know, it's mostly just stuff that just kind of just makes the whole gameplay nicer. So small explosives, which I showed you, shotguns, change the sound on those. Personally, I'm a fan of the old sound of this. There's actually a lot of these sounds I'm not a fan of, but they've changed, so I'll cover them here. Poison capsule, cloud sound, kind of a thudding for some reason. So trains, enemy sound, most factory, yeah. So let's go look at the enemy dying animations and the sounds for the enemies as well. They've also, you know, they changed so much sound and stuff. I can't possibly show you everything. So they changed pretty much every sound interaction in the game. So just keep that in mind. I'm on peaceful, by the way. So yeah, if you've been playing 0.18 for a while, these aren't new to you, but if you haven't played 0.18, you're just brand new to the game, that's kind of what the dying animations for the bugs and the spawners and the worms and stuff look like. And I believe that's it for sounds, and we're basically done here, guys. There's a ton of optimizations. You know, many factory entities such as mining drills, inserters, and burner entities have been optimized. Same with just polluting entities in general. Smoke producing entities have been optimized. Robot performance when they are flying towards their target. Just tons of optimizations. The devs are always optimizing things, which is fantastic. And I believe that covers pretty much everything, guys, for 0.18. Like I said, the 1.0 version of this was much shorter. There were way fewer changes because they just kind of transitioned from 0.18 into 1.0. I believe I covered everything. I'm just scanning through here really quickly. One thing I did miss is there's some new dying effects and remnants for flying robots. So these were added fairly early in 0.18. If we have these guys, they only last 45 seconds, so we'll just throw a couple of those out, let them follow me around. Maybe they can shoot these biters for us here. New sounds, of course. You heard the biter dying sounds. I could just shoot these, I suppose. So there you go. It's kind of cool. They explode a little bit, go spinning and land, and then they have their remnants, which is pretty neat. You know, I could do the same thing for these, which is pretty cool. Do some target practice with that, maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think, guys, again, apologize for the little mistakes I may have made. There's a ton to go over here. But that is all 0.18 stuff. Major changes. There are so many. Like I said, the blueprint stuff is absolutely huge. They've just made the game visually and audibly sound so much better. And it's fantastic. And as you saw in the 1.0 version, there's Polluted Water as well, and the new Nuke, which looks fantastic, and stuff like that. Any other changes? I'm actually recording a 0.18 version before 1.0's come out to be prepared, so they may have snuck changes in there that I cover in the 1.0 version. Crossing fingers for Spidertron. I guess future me will find out, or you guys will know already by the time you've heard this. Yeah, I think that's going to do it, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking through this. And if you did enjoy, please, leave a like so other people can find the video and hopefully find it helpful as well. Leave your comments down below, any thoughts and questions and feedback you have and such like that. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to have, been given updates on all new content. There's going to be a lot of Factorio content coming out on my channel here now that 1.0 is out. So if you want to, keep up with that, definitely subscribe. And I believe that'll do it, guys. As always, thank you so much, and until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.